It's time for the RMAC Radio Show, featuring all the latest information from around the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. The RMAC is a proud member of NCAA Division II. Now, here's your host, Eric Danner.
Welcome to the RMAC Radio Show, week number 3 of the 2012-13 season. My name is Eric Danner. We're going to start things off with football today and talk with Kevon Williams of the red-hot New Mexico Highlands Cowboys, off to a 2-0 start. Segment number 2, we're going to talk with Jen Gomez, the head volleyball coach at CSU Puebla. The Thunderwolves also off to an impressive undefeated start, and then we'll wrap things up in segment number 3. But we're going to start with football in this segment. Another pretty much non-conference week in RMAC football. We did have one conference game, which did feature those New Mexico Highlands Cowboys. 4-4 non-conference for the RMAC, which again is pretty good this time of year when some teams step up and play those 1AA type opponents. Western New Mexico almost pulled off a shocker playing 1AA San Diego University. I should say it's not 1AA anymore. It's a Division I FCS, but nonetheless, 4-4. And then we had our first RMAC game of the year, which was down in Durango, Colorado. New Mexico Highlands winning that one 50-0, and we're now joined by one of the star receivers for the Cowboys. His name is Kevon Williams. Kevon, how's it going today?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there, Kevon. I wanted to get you on the show because you're one of the few guys who are holdover from the previous regime. Had some pretty long years, those first couple of years. Last year, you saw the team start to get turned around, and this year in your first 2 games, you got to combine 92-14 against your first 2 opponents. You got to feel pretty good about the direction of this team right now, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I feel great about the way this program is going right now.
Talking with Kevon Williams from New Mexico Highlands University. Kevon, what was the biggest transition from your first 2 years at Highlands to these past 2 years?
The biggest transition was probably getting some coaches in here that were prepared, that were ready and prepared to take on this challenge. And by them doing that and getting us some athletes in there that can actually play to the potential of the RMAC, we're actually looking really good right now.
Talking with Kevon Williams. And again, Highlands did get off to a hot start last year, won your first couple of games, and then had some injuries, which as the season went along really seemed to hurt your team. Is there any talk around the locker room about, hey, we're 2-0, we've got these 2 blowout victories in our first 2 games, but our work isn't finished yet, and remember what happened last year?
Always. I mean, it's nonstop, constant talk around the locker room. Don't settle, because last year we kind of settled. I mean, although we had some quarterback injuries early on in the season, but everybody in the locker room is not settling. We want to get better. Everybody's always watching film to get better for this next opponent coming up, and we're just trying to make a statement around the nation.
Yeah, I want to say last year you guys started 4 different quarterbacks. Emmanuel Lewis started the season for you. He's back after missing most of last season. Had a huge game. He's actually our RMAC Rawlings Offensive Player of the Week. 346 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 108 yards rushing, and a touchdown. Have you developed a chemistry with Emmanuel yet, or is it just kind of a work in progress still, Kevon?
Me and Emmanuel, to be honest, we have been out here since the end of last year. Neither one of us went home this past summer, and we've been doing nothing but getting better together. So I want to say that our chemistry has gotten a lot better, and it's only going to get better throughout this year.
Kevon Williams had 6 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown against Fort Lewis on the year. 10 catches for 153 yards, 2 touchdowns, among the league leaders. But Kevon not currently leading the team in receiving, which the last few years you've always been kind of far high and above everyone else on the team. But this year you've got another receiver on the other side of you. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, that's great, because if I'm making all the plays, then that means that everybody's going to key on me, and then we're not going to make plays. But with our quarterback knowing that everybody can make plays and him spreading the ball out, it helps me out a lot, and then it also helps out our other receivers who are also great receivers that can all make plays right about now. So whoever gets the ball, it's going to be a good thing.
Talking with Kevon Williams, a senior wide receiver out of Houston, Texas, playing for the New Mexico Highlands Cowboys. And, yeah, 2 big wins in those first 2 games. But this weekend, you got a pretty big test going to Southern Utah of that Division I FCS variety. And I saw last week Southern Utah was on ESPN Plays of the Day for one of their receivers making a catch against Cal, and it looked like they gave Cal a pretty good ball game. Have you guys had a chance to look at Southern Utah, and what are you kind of expecting from them this weekend?
To be honest, our coaches are preparing for this game like any other game. We know that they're a big team, Division I team, and we know that it's going to be tough, but we're going to go by everything the exact same way we do. We're not going to change nothing, and we're just going to go in here expecting the best from our team that we know we can do, and we're going to try to pull off a win in Cedar City this week.
Talking with Kevon Williams from New Mexico Highlands University. And Kevon, as the season goes along, obviously there's a long way to go, but I know in talking to some folks at Football Media Day, which you attended back at the beginning of August, there's a lot of optimism in this program, and there's even some feeling with your talent that you could compete for the RMAC championship. I imagine those goals haven't changed at all, have they?
Oh, of course not. You know, back in spring ball, we made a promise to ourselves that we were going to be the RMAC champion, and everybody on the team has done nothing but put in work throughout the summer, throughout camp, and starting out this season. We're all putting in work, and, you know, the goal is RMAC champion. I don't think there's nobody on this team that wants nothing less than that. But we also are trying not to go RMAC champion, but we also are trying to be national champions.
Well, very lofty goals, and we want to wish you the best of luck on that, and good luck this Saturday at Southern Utah, Kevon.
All right, thank you.
All right, that is Kevon Williams from New Mexico Highlands University. He's been there all 4 years and saw some pretty lean times at Highlands his first couple of years, and started to see things turn around last year. If you remember, they upset Colorado Mines in Golden last year, and then towards the end of the season, the wheels started to fall off a little bit, but we're seeing at the beginning of this year, 92-14 in their first 2 games against Eastern New Mexico and Fort Lewis College. And for more on what happened this past weekend, let's head over to Chris Polton, who has our RMAC recap.
Thanks, Eric. CSU Pueblo gets another 40-plus output from their offense against Northwestern Oklahoma. Pack quarterback Ross Dawson completed 16 of 26 passes for 303 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. Also added one on the ground as well. Final score 41-24 Pueblo. Colorado School of Mines scored 68 unanswered points against South Dakota's version of Mines. Ordigger QB Matt Brown efficient once again, going 31 of 47 for 436 yards, compiling 3 scores to 3 different receivers. CSM wins 71-7. The one conference game played was no contest as New Mexico Highlands blanked Fort Lewis 50-0. Cowboy QB Emmanuel Lewis shined above the rest, throwing for 346 yards, rushing for 108 yards, and scoring 5 times. Adams State hit the road to Wayland Baptist and had the air attack in full force. Grizzly triggerman Cody Davis went 18 of 20 and 3 scores. ASC wins 55-7. Chadron State captured their first win against Angelo State 19-7. The Eagles' suffocating defense combined with Glenn Clinton's 117 yards on the ground. CSC was able to snag Jay Long's first victory. Colorado Mesa visited Greeley, Colorado to battle Northern Colorado. The Bears, a Division I opponent, had no issues at all, dropping the Mavericks to 0-2 on the season with the 40-3 victory. Western New Mexico made a trip out west to play San Diego, and no, not the Chargers, but the Toros. The Mustangs took the lead on a Mitch Glassman Marquis Sumter 8-yard connection to make the score 27-20. WNMU would not be able to hold the lead. 14 unanswered points by USD capped off the 34-27 victory. Black Hills State played their first game as an official RMAC member and had a tough task against Idaho State. The Bengals made sure it was never close. Final score 38-5. I'm Chris Polton. That's your RMAC recap.
Thank you, Chris. Our RMAC Rawlings Players of the Week. From New Mexico Highlands, Emmanuel Lewis had that huge game, 346 yards passing, 108 yards rushing, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. He's our Offensive Player of the Week. Defensive Player of the Week goes to Connor Casey of Chadron State. He had 5 tackles, an interception, and I also believe a fumble recovery, if memory serves me correctly. And then our RMAC Rawlings Special Teams Player of the Week goes to David Van Voris of Adams State University. 17 points in that win over Wayland Baptist, including 4 field goals. Congratulations to our RMAC Rawlings Players of the Week. And if you're headed out to catch some RMAC football action this weekend, this is our first full week of RMAC play where RMAC teams play each other. Black Hills State will be traveling to Colorado Mines. What an opening game that is, as well as the Oredigers have been playing. That's a noon kickoff at Campbell Field. CSU Pueblo gets their longest road trip of the year after that rather long road trip to Northwest Oklahoma. They're going to western New Mexico. The Mustangs fresh off almost with that big upset against San Diego. That's a noon kickoff as well. Adams State and Western State, generally speaking, this has been the last game of the year because the schedule turned over. It's now the first RMAC game of the year for both teams. It's going to be homecoming in Gunnison, a 1 o'clock kickoff, which is obviously one of the better rivalries in the RMAC over the years, Adams and Western. And then speaking of rivalries, Chadron State goes to Colorado Mesa. Now, you wouldn't think this would be a natural rivalry, but given that Bill O'Boyle, the former Chadron State coach, and some of his staff are now at Colorado Mesa, Chadron State has new head coach Jay Long, so obviously a lot of guys on the team who played for Coach O'Boyle. So 1 o'clock kickoff at Stoker Stadium in Grand Junction. Fort Lewis and Highlands both played each other this past week, so this week they're playing non-conference games. Fort Lewis will be heading to northern Arizona. That's actually going to be on Fox Regional TV, 4 o'clock Mountain Time, Mountain Standard Time, I should say, not Mountain Daylight. So that's, I believe, Pacific Time this time of year. I'll have to check that out since Arizona doesn't recognize the daylight time, but that's going to be produced by Northern Arizona. It'll be on Fox Sports Arizona if you happen to get the sports package on whatever cable or satellite system you're watching. And then the Mexico Highlands, as we mentioned, travels to southern Utah, 6 o'clock kickoff. That'll be interesting to see, with, as well as the Cowboys have been playing, if they could pull off an upset and beat a 1AA team. That does it for football. When we come back, we're going to talk RMAC volleyball with CSU Pueblo head coach Jen Gomez. You're listening to the RMAC Radio Show.